Good morning, Singapore. It's Glenn, Angel, FD, and Shaun. You tuned into The Big Show. It's a Tuesday, which means Dr. Geraldine Tan is in the house. Jerry, good morning.
Morning!
Good morning.
Singapore!
Oh my goodness, so bright and chirpy. Yay!
And today, we're going to talk about something I think many Singaporeans are guilty of.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it's,
Very guilty of.
it's been in the papers recently.
Hoarding.
Oh, Glenn, is it? Shaun is pointing at Glenn.
No.
I throw everything away, man. I am so ruthless.
Throw
My
every-
goodness.
But you buy lots of stuff as
I
well,
buy
and
lots
then
of
you
stuff
throw
and
lots
then
of
I throw or I give them away. You
There's
haven't
another-
seen you
there's-
haven't seen my shoe festival yet?
No,
you haven't seen
It's almost time for another shoe festival.
All right.
I'll just bring like 100 pairs. I'll leave it out there. And I'll go back after the, maybe when we're leaving,
Yeah.
and there'll be like 2 pairs left.
Oh, really?
Just
It's like
whoever
everyone
wants
just
them.
help yourselves.
Oh,
Like flea market. Eh?
flea market.
But I've got to say, there was this whole article in the Straits Times on Sunday, I think it was.
Yes.
I haven't walked into my storeroom since Sunday.
Oh.
I'm just worried to walk into the storeroom.
But I mean, I think there are different types of hoarder. I mean, Jerry, when can we differentiate between collecting things and keeping, say, sentimental things and hoarding?
Well, okay. So let's go with the types of hoarders first. I thought
Okay.
that was very funny. Again, it's Jerry's nonsense, so it doesn't appear in anywhere else. So the first thing is the first one. I've got 4. The first one is called the keeper. Everything also they would keep the plastic containers. They say, oh, very useful, so it comes into their possession and then they will keep it. Okay, I'm going to make fun of one of my colleagues today, and every time there's the catalog for the Noel flowers or hampers,
Right.
and there's the Chinese New Year one or the Valentine's Day one, and then after a few months we will find a stack because she said cannot throw.
Just in case. Just in
Why?
case.
Yeah, just in case
Just
we
in
need
case.
it. It's very pretty, the pictures inside there. Eventually, we throw it away.
Okay.
So most of us are guilty. It comes into our possession, and then we feel a bit sayang to throw it away.
And
For
isn't that the
one
problem?
reason or another.
Isn't that the
Okay.
problem? People feeling sayang.
The sentimental connection.
Well, it's okay if you throw it away, but some people don't. So I have a client's mother who has a very serious hoarding problem, and he would bring back, like from the food court, your plastic cup with the plastic cover, and you have your straw in, right? So he would bring it home, and the mom will wash it out and keep the cup.
Okay, that is a
Yeah.
problem.
That's
Yeah.
not good. Trying to recycle.
And there are 10 million other similar cups there, of all different shapes and sizes.
I'm
So
just trying to
you
think,
really-
she's just saved the ocean from getting a couple of plastic cups.
Maybe she's got styrofoam boxes too. Styrofoam food boxes.
That's even worse. Yeah.
It's you'll be surprised. There are people that actually keep it.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So those are the keepers.
Okay.
Now, the collectors are more interesting. The collectors, not to be mistaken like Glenn, who collects shoes, or FD, who collects his hat. These collectors collect simply anything, and it can be of no value at all. So they walk around and they go, oh my God, that looks really good. Somebody threw it out. I think I've got use for it, and they pick it up from the trash, and they collect things like that. I wonder. Now, my colleagues will laugh at me because sometimes I do that.
You
Collect
don't.
from the trash.
No wonder you sounded sheepish there for a while.
I think some people do pick up things from the trash when they're still in good condition. I mean, like one person's trash is another man's treasure. They turn it into
Yeah.
something else. But there's a
Yes,
fine
yes.
line, right, between collecting
There's a
everything.
very, very fine line, yes. So it's like, I love to troll the thrift shop, especially at my church before, it closed because of COVID. And really, it's people throwing out something and me going there, finding a use for it. So yes, guilty as charged, the collector. Then there is the swiper, and I've got the red card.
How many more do you have?
Last one, right?
Two more. All right, we'll cover those two other types of hoarders live on the Big Show TV. That's on our Facebook page, 1FM 91.3, as well as the Big Show Facebook page.
And we're back.
Yes. And the swiper. This one, I think many of us can identify, the older generation. When you go to the hotel rooms and there are all the toiletries, and then you go, oh, it smells very nice. Or there's a toothbrush. Okay, never mind. I'll just swipe everything.
Those are called shoplifters also.
As charged.
Really?
They're not shoplifters because I feel that when it comes to hotel pens and toiletries and all that,
You paid for it.
No, not just that. They are made for taking because these are branding elements for the hotels. So you take them home, you use the pen, you have them in your guest bathroom and stuff like that. People see the brand names of the hotel. So I'm actually doing them a favor.
Wow, great justification.
I'm spreading the name of the hotels. Yeah, but I don't do that anymore because I'm eco-friendly. I take my own shampoo and soap to the hotel, so I don't use the little ones.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't use those.
Reframing for us to make many of us feel good. But no, I mean, people do swipe, whether they have a use for it or not, right? So,
Yeah.
Angel, you put it in your guest room. Some people just go, I might use it at some point, but this is good quality. I'm just going to swipe everything.
No, I have stuff from like 5 years ago that's still not used.
Yep. Oh, but sometimes it's also swiping the toilet paper. Have you heard of that?
Yes,
No.
I have.
Yes.
From the hotels.
No, I've also
Yes,
heard
I've heard
of pillows and duvets and everything
No,
and
you
towels.
cannot do
What?
No, I know
No,
you
it's
can't do
about-
that, but people have done it.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
people have done it.
That's stealing already.
That's stealing, yeah. So what the
that's
hotels do
stealing.
now is they tag the towels. There are
Yeah,
little
yeah.
trackers in the towels that they tag and they know when you're leaving with one. Can you imagine?
Damn.
I'm sure.
Are these kleptomaniacs or what?
Possibly. That's a topic for another day, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, but please do not take towels from the hotel rooms. Yeah, but the swiper, so they swipe. They can go to the restaurants and, the wet towels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Towelette, yeah. And, sometimes you ask, are these charged? Yes, it's charged inside. And then, the moms or the grandmas would just swipe everything and say, yeah, don't waste it. We paid for it, so take it back.
But that's okay,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you've paid for it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you take
That's
it off the bill.
logical.
Yeah, it's
That's-
logical to take it with you.
That's fine.
Not if you have 10 million wet wipes in the closet.
Yeah,
All dried up.
all dried up. Or you just opt at the restaurant not to have the wet wipes, which you
Yeah,
can, right?
which
Take
you
it off
can.
my bill. Yeah.
Yep. And then the last one is the everything also one. So someone would take this to you. Hey, I don't want this already. Do you want? Yes. And then somebody else will come to you and say, oh, I've got this. Do you want? And they will go, yes. So many of us can identify with these personalities or these behaviors, not personalities,
Oh,
but
this
these behaviors.
this was the everything also want is our ex friend Andre Houdin.
Oh, dear.
Right? Remember all the things, and I'm like, okay, who wants? Okay, I want.
Yeah. He'll just say collect.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he has 2 storerooms in his house. Also.
Ah, so he has a problem, huh?
But Jerry, so four
Yes.
types you've described when we talk about hoarding: the keeper, the collector, the swiper, and the everything I also want. Is this actually a clinical disorder?
Hoarding disorder, yes. So just now was a little fun introduction to what hoarding behavior can be like. But then the hoarding disorder is a clinical disorder. I prepared this because I knew FD was going to ask, is this a condition or is this a disorder?
Yeah.
Has he become so predictable? Jerry?
We need to switch
Jerry
things up.
knows me. No, because when you talk about it, you need to be correct.
You need to find out. Yes.
You need to be correct.
Yes.
Yes,
Totally
there
agree.
is really a hoarding disorder, and it's in the DSM-4, which is the one that I've showed you before.
Yeah.
The manual.
Your
Yep.
manual.
What does that stand for?
one.
DSM.
Diagnostic, the criteria. Oh my God.
It's falling apart.
Statistical Manual 5. So it's version 5.
Right. Okay.
My notes fell on the floor.
So FD, later you've got to ask Jerry that question once
Yeah,
again. Okay.
whether or not this
I will
is
recap the 4 different types of hoarding, and then you can ask Jerry that question.
Yeah, because I recently, over the weekend, I believe I saw it in the papers, but I think I saw it also online. A video a guy had filmed trying to walk up the stairs of his mom's house in Chinatown, and it was just flanked by boxes
Yes.
and
Newspaper.
Yes.
things that
Yes.
he didn't even know what was in there, you know. And somebody else, some volunteers also cleaned up another house, and
Yep.
they had a picture of the dustpan, you know, the broom and the dustpan,
Yeah.
full of cockroaches. Oh, because everything hides underneath all that stuff.
Yep.
So how do people live like that? Though, when does it become unlivable?
A problem,
Yeah, when does
right?
it become a problem?
So the compulsiveness of collecting, of taking things, of keeping things, and it starts to have, so there's 5 different levels. So the first level is a small clutter. So usually if you go to a hoarder's house, it's not very organized. So it's like just a mount of things. So level 1 has a clutter. Level 2, you start to have weird smells in there.
Oh God.
Okay, and things that are not thrown away. Okay. Level 3, you have the clutter increase to a point that it spills outside of the house. Okay, and then level 4, their own hygiene. Okay, like personal hygiene, like bathing, cleaning themselves, may be very poor. And level 5 is, once you go in, you can see it's like fire hazards everywhere, rotting food, fecal matter. It's really horrible.
Okay, we go back on air first, huh?
You're tuned into The Big Show. It's a Tuesday, so that's why we have Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room with us. Today we're talking about hoarding, 4 different kinds of hoarders: the keeper, the collector, the swiper, the everything also one.
So Jerry, I'm going to ask you this question again, so we can because I want to get it politically correct. Is
Yes.
it a condition or is it a disorder?
It is a disorder. You can have hoarding behaviors. We, at one time or other, may be guilty of it, but hoarding can become a disorder. It is an actual medical condition.
And you also said there are 5 levels that you can sort of measure it at. There is clutter, and then it moves on to level 2, which is smell. When smells start to occur and you don't know what's responsible for it. Then there's the spillover, when it starts to spill over into other spaces. And then personal hygiene starts to degrade. And what is the 5th one you mentioned?
The 5th one is the most severe, which you can see that it's literally fire hazards, rotting food, smells, fecal matter, yep.
Literally, for some people,
Yeah, it's
literally
just like a dump.
5 levels of hoarding.
Yeah.
You get like
Yes.
5 levels of junk
Junk.
in the house.
Yeah, but they don't see these items as junk, right, Jerry?
No, so they don't. And they are very, very possessive, which is why the HDB officers often have trouble, or the neighbors have trouble trying to interfere or intervene, because they're very possessive over their possessions. And they are very suspicious if you come close, and they can get very angry with you. They can get aggressive with you.
Wow, is it like a compulsive disorder?
It is one of the related disorders. So OCD is there, so there's the obsessive compulsiveness, and then this is one of the related disorders.
But it really
So
is
OCD.
an obvious disorder. Why can't we remove them from their homes? So, because it's a disorder. So I
Yeah.
say get the police to come, right? They take them away to the Institute of Mental Health, leave them there for maybe a week or something like that. And during that period, someone helps to
Clean up.
tidy and clean up the house. I'm not saying remove everything, but to make sure that it's not infested with like cockroaches and rats and
But that
and
sounds
stuff
like
that.
tough love. You know what I mean? That sounds like ripping the Band-Aid off really quickly. And if they come back to that space and it's all cleaned up, they would be very upset, right?
It's psychological trauma for them.
That's what I think.
Yep,
yeah.
it is.
Well, it's psychological trauma for the neighbors. Imagine being a neighbor.
No,
Yeah,
I agree, but I'm sure there's a balance that can be done. So, Jerry, I mean, going back to what causes people to hoard.
So there are a few underlying issues. So OCD was one already, right? So we cannot extract them or simply extract them from their homes because there might be other underlying disorders. And FD is absolutely right. There will be, psychological trauma. And what if they just collect more and they overcompensate? So we're not helping them at all, right?
I'm not worried about the psychological trauma and all that because they can just go and see you, Jerry. Let's continue this conversation live on the Big Show TV. That's live on our Facebook page.
So, Jerry, I just wanted to ask, could one of the underlying causes be that these particular people are lonely? I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Do they live with other people or do they live alone mostly?
Sometimes they live with other people.
Oh, wow.
How
Okay.
does
They
that
live
work?
with their family.
But how does that? How do the other people not stop this hoarding from happening?
Yeah.
Because it starts to build up, right?
They're all hoarders.
you can't.
I don't think so.
No, not really. But sometimes you can't. How do you fight with a spouse? How do you fight with a parent, that has that hoarding behavior? And sometimes they are very, very rational. They'll tell you, I need it at another time, so leave it, don't touch it. And it sounds very legitimate. You see, so it just builds up and just creeps up on them over time. But sometimes it gets so ridiculous that you have no space to walk. Some of the homes that the HDB officers go to, there's not even a floor space or a bed space for them to sleep.
So what do they do? Where do they sleep?
They could
On their
find
things,
someplace else to sleep on their things, on someplace else, or they just curl up in a tiny space that they can find.
It's amazing. We've got comments coming through on our Facebook page,
Yeah.
Jerry. Asman, when he moved out of his semi-D home, his mother threw away 3 lorry loads of junk. 3 lorry loads.
But throwing away already very good.
Yeah, lucky that happened.
Yep.
And another person says, Sajid says he's a collector. Everything, especially electrical stuff. But he says he's lucky. He's the collector, his wife is the thrower. So there's some kind of balance in his house.
So when does it start? Like what's
what's-
something small that we can take note of if we start like collecting? Like maybe you collect apps on your phone or
No, that's
Collect
not
the-
hoarding.
Hey,
No.
Aloysius has come on our Facebook page. 350 apps on his iPhone.
That's okay.
yeah, and you only
Yep.
use like what 5?
Yeah.
That's not hoarding, though. That's not
Yeah.
taking up physical space.
You're not bothering
bugging
other people.
anyone.
But the
Yeah.
mentality starts there, right?
Yes.
Then from there
it's
you
the
move on to
mindset. Exactly.
physical stuff.
It's the mindset.
Really?
So
Okay.
one of it is ADHD that may be causing that whole clutter, where they don't know how to organize. They just impulsively download or take things, and that one is easy to manage. Where we help them, we teach them how to organize. We put them in categories. Anything that is, outside of that, that's superfluous, you don't need it. So we can help them. Sometimes they are depressed. So I think you asked about loneliness. I think it's not being alone physically, but feeling alone. So the depressiveness may cause that whole downward spiral, and they start collecting things. Substance abuse. Substance abuse. Yeah, they don't have the ability to pack. They take things, they have delusions, those with delusions, schizophrenia, sometimes they just take things, they just put things everywhere, and they pack their room up because they think people are trying to take things away from them. They're a bit paranoid, right?
So is this considered an addiction as well?
Good
type of
question.
addiction?
Rather than addiction, I think there's a very, very fine line. I think it's more the finding out the underlying problem. So it could be the substance abuse, the substance addiction that is causing the behavior, rather than they feeling that they're addicted, to collecting things.
Right. How do we? How can we be more understanding towards these people? Because as you mentioned early on, some of them can be aggressive. So if we were to tell them, hey, maybe you should throw some of your things out, your place is, you're becoming a hoarder or something, and they get violent and all. You can't blame someone for losing hope in people like that and getting angry back at them and feeling irritated with them, But how is it possible for us to be more understanding towards these people?
Empathetic.
Yeah, a lot of patience actually. As I don't know how the HDB officers actually do it, but they will go and knock on the door and, coax them, talk to them, let them know, can we help you to arrange? Can we help you to categorize? Have you been eating your medication? Sometimes they play the role of the social worker also. Yeah,
I think that's a great idea, like categorizing instead of throwing things away first. Putting them all neatly. Because, you take something away from someone, they get very possessive and because it's not junk to them. It's all precious stuff, right? So if you tell them, okay, we're not throwing anything away, we'll make everything neat piles and all that, then maybe they'll start, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but maybe they'll start to see that certain things are not necessary.
But you know how some people say, right? Hey, leave that alone. If not, I won't be able to find it.
I won't know where it is. Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes.
Organized mess is what they call it.
These are the people that if you ask them, does this spark joy? They say, yes, everything also spark joy.
It's about right. We
why
need
they
to
don't throw
Marie
away.
Kondo you.
Yeah. You see, as long as it doesn't affect us directly, right? FD, you as well. Because, if you had a neighbor, as I mentioned early on, who was a hoarder, and they had things outside of their house
Then,
and all that, how do you feel? You know what I mean?
Okay, I've actually thought about this when I was reading the papers, and my worry, it's the wrong thing to say. My worry is more the health aspect
And the fire hazard.
and the fire hazard, not only for them but for everyone around them.
That's
Why is it
safety.
wrong to say? Why?
Because I'm thinking less of them and more about everyone else around them.
Yeah, but
That's the priority I put on it. It's not so much them, but the
people around
them. And
I
it
don't
just feels very mean.
no.
But I don't think they're coming from a mean point, It's a very personal thing for them.
I'll be calling the police every day.
Well, my mom's got a friend just like this, not as bad as living in unsanitary environment, but she hoards stuff. She puts everything in boxes, but she lives alone. She's in her 80s. She's all hunched over. She jumps onto the MRT with her PMD and everything, and she's strong. This woman is strong, but she's got a lot of stuff. And my mom's been telling her, get rid of stuff. And finally, like after 80 years, she's finally gotten rid of like 10% of stuff.
10%.
But she, not as bad, but still, it's taken someone years to keep telling her, you got to get rid of stuff.
Okay, other than telling people that you got to get rid of it, or we've spoken about categorizing stuff and organizing their homes, what is the actual therapy?
So there are a few, there's cognitive behavioral therapy, there is support groups,
20 seconds.
motivational interviewing. So different theories. medication, especially if they've got the underlying. So if they've got OCD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, those need to be treated first.
Okay, stand by.
okay.
We're going for a traffic update with the Flying Dutchman. It's Glenn, Angel, FD, and Shaun on The Big Show. Dr. Geraldine Tan is on the show as well today because it's Therapy Tuesday. Lots of laughter going on The Big Show TV. That was what FD was referring to, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
We're talking about hoarding today.
So, Jerry, you were saying even medication is part of the therapy.
Yes, medication
Hoarding.
is part of the therapy because underlying issues can be any of the other medical symptoms as disorders, right? OCD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, sometimes we don't want to admit it, but it is so serious that we do need some chemicals to help us to regulate ourselves.
And besides medication, if families or if the individual doesn't want medication, are there any other types of therapy that can be done?
So we have cognitive behavioral therapy, the motivational interviewing. One little girl I recall, really sweet, 7-year-old girl. So she came with a collecting, issue. So she hoards things, not very messy, but she would take a tissue and she would just leave it at the sink. And she would not allow her mom to throw away. She'll eat a sandwich and have a little piece. She'll wrap it up and put it into the fridge and refuse to let the mom throw away. So the mom was really at her wits' ends, brought the little girl here, and the little girl had anxiety issues.
Wow.
Yeah,
At such
so
an
she
age.
So she came to Singapore. They were expatriates, came to Singapore, a lot of changes, not quite sure what's going on in school. So she was very, very fearful and anxious. So it manifests in this way. So different small little things, a sweet wrapper, and she would keep that sweet wrapper. So her bag is basically stuffed with a lot of little bits and pieces. Okay. And then when I asked her, she had the sweetest little explanation why she had to keep all these. She said that if I throw all these away, they will be sad. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So we had to check in with her, chat with her, and work on that loss of familiarity, and that she's not going to abandon, she's not going to be abandoned, and work through all those emotions. And, after a few months, she was A-okay. So that was awesome. Yeah. So very happy.
So it's basically taking her out of her comfort zone, and that's why she felt she needed to collect things that were her
collect
own.
all
Right,
the-
okay.
It sounds like someone made her feel guilty or something like that. It's like, it was like a feeling of guilt on her part. Because,
Maybe.
guilt often, creates lots of problems in many people.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, for
Very
sure.
true.
It does. But I don't think that for this little girl, she was just really feeling out of place and really worried about things. Yeah.
Jerry,
But she
when...
didn't need medication. Sorry.
Oh, she doesn't need medication.
She didn't need. Yeah.
Okay, so it was just you talking through everything and finding out what it was that caused her to collect these little bits of things, right?
Okay, when we come back, I've got a question for Jerry with regards to HDB personnel and the police. Glenn's mentioned the police a couple of times.
Right.
I've got a question regarding that for Jerry.
What FD means is when we go live on Facebook,
Yes.
we'll be asking Jerry that question. All right.
Okay, so Jerry, I'm thinking if we report hoarders, particularly HDB, I'm not sure, there must be landed property hoarders as well, but we're generally talking about HDB. And we report it to the HDB or we report it to the police. These people go to the house. Your hoarder already knows this is an official from the HDB. This is a policeman. That is already, I would imagine in their mind, a wall comes up.
Yep.
Are there other groups we can go to other than these two? to help these hoarders through?
Like
Something that's a little
volunteers.
more subtle.
Yeah, like volunteers or something.
Exterminators.
Exterminators.
Not exterminators, but you know what I mean, right, Jerry?
They're already subtle. What I mean, how much more subtle?
What?
think
Police
they
and HDB?
are-
No, they're not.
No, I think they are.
You can't
no.
be subtle with these people.
True.
I don't know. I'm
you
asking
can't.
Jerry.
And you can't call them these people.
I'm about to call them animals.
No,
some of
no,
them.
no.
Oh, Glenn!
Ken, turn his mic off again.
So Jerry, are there other people we can turn to who don't
I
seem
believe-
so official?
Yeah, I believe that there are groups out there, volunteer groups there, approaching these different individuals, to encourage them to declutter or to throw away things, or at least to clear the space from the corridors first, right? So if there are smells, that they would want to go in, because that is nuisance. So as long as it's public nuisance, they will the authorities can act on it. But the volunteers, I think there are a couple of volunteer groups. I can't remember at this point. If any of the members of public can remember, they can write it on Facebook, but I can't remember now. But there are a couple of volunteer groups that go down and speak with them. So non-clothes, no lanyard, no official papers, just sitting with them saying, hey, do you know that there's smell? Do you know that, it's fire hazard? And are you okay? And to bring them down to the hospital or to IMH if necessary.
Yeah. I mean, we can all sit here and try to be nice and everything, but it's only because we don't have that problem.
Absolutely.
As in we're not exposed to it on a daily basis. We're not walking past this house, with junk outside of the house and in the stairwells and all.
Yep.
But for the people who are listening to us right now who have neighbors like that, they must be so miserable.
Yes, I'm sure.
Well, if you
I am
do
sure.
know of someone, you can write in on our Facebook page under the video that's showing now, or you can also text us at 88550-913 and let us know what your experience is like as well.
Yeah, because it's hard not to be nasty with a neighbor who has a problem like that. I know it's not the right thing.
It's not the right reaction.
Yeah, it's not the right reaction, all that. But we're humans
it's
after
human.
all.
It's human.
And if you're walking past a house that smells bad and has things outside, you're gonna want someone to handle, the problem, especially if it's in a public
Space.
Public space.
Yeah, I guess the first thing people would feel is anger, but after that you start to also feel worried. Like, how do people live like that? Because it's so unsanitary.
Yeah.
It can't be right breathing all that stuff in and sleeping with that stuff.
Yeah, and having cockroaches come into your house from
And-
that
and
A lot
house.
of pests. Exactly. There are a lot of pests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can't be easy. But
No.
Which is why I think I may have read somewhere that someone was evicted once.
oh dear.
It reached a point where it was just unacceptable, and I think that person was evicted.
Yep. So they have that power to do that. So HDB has the power to do that.
I suppose
But
that's
I
like
don't-
the last resort, right?
Yeah,
That would be
that's
very
the last resort. That's the last resort. But yeah, they need help. They need to be brought to the doctors. They need to be, counseled, spoken to. So some of them really cannot see. They have no insight. Some of them do, but some of them have no insight. So those that have no insight would be the aggressive ones, the very angry ones, the one that kicks the authorities out. Yeah.
But you're saying that some of them know exactly what they're doing?
Yeah, so those are the ones that if you tell them, oh, your things are blocking my way at the corridor, they would feel a little bit of guilt and keep it inside the houses. But they'll still want to keep. They cannot throw.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though-
Well,
Yeah.
then are they still considered imbalanced? I mean, for the ones that are aware that it's happening compared to the ones that are not aware, is there a difference?
Well, it's just a matter of severity, mild.
Right.
you know,
Okay.
moderate, severe. Like the 5 levels of hoarders, right?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
But see,
yeah, they're still hoarding.
if you are aware and you are being unpleasant to people and you're disregarding people's
Yeah,
feelings,
then you're-
being inconsiderate,
Yeah.
then you're a jerk.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no,
Right?
I know. Then you're being unfair to everybody
Yeah.
else, for sure, in a
'Cause
nicer
you're
sense
aware.
of the word.
It's interesting because then these people they're almost narcissistic. They only think of
About
themselves.
themselves.
No, they cannot help it, right? So sometimes they have financial issues. Sometimes they have conflict with even with the family members. So we cannot just simply blame them and say it's them, because if they don't have insight, they are impaired. The judgment is impaired. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to say that they are at fault 100%. Yes, they have the behavior, but it's not them.
That's interesting. Sharon Eng on our Facebook page says she knows of a family whose hoarding was so bad that there were not only cockroaches but rats. Now, also the children chose to sleep at the neighbor's house. The children wouldn't even sleep in their own home.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
That's a sign.
Poor thing.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
But
So
they
you-
had nice neighbors, though.
At least they had
At
someone
least
to
they
help
had
out.
nice neighbors.
And these kids are going to grow up having psychological problems as well as a result of that.
Yes, I would imagine.
Yes. So if you know someone, raise it up to the doctors, raise it up to someone, tell the family members that there is help out there.
There's a hotline you can call, 999.
No, that's not the hotline.
The hotter one is
I-
995, right?
Nice.
I would call, if it's HDB, I would call HDB first before I call the police.
Or find out if there are volunteer groups
Volunteers.
that can
Yeah.
do a soft hand with that
Softer
first,
approach.
So HDB must be thinking, please don't disturb us. Just give the
We
police
have
a call.
enough. We have enough.
Yes, listen to Glenn. Just call the police.
Don't listen to Glenn.
But it's got to be tough. Jerry, any last words for people who know neighbors who are hoarders or family members who are hoarders? What can we do?
Or better still, talk to the hoarders, Jerry. The hoarders who are tuned in right now.
Yeah.
Let's do a volunteer group here and then we'll go to them, okay? So not about the hoarders. I know we spoke a lot about the hoarders, but I still am quite a collector, keeper, swiper, I want everything sort of thing. So I still want us to collect, but let's collect something different. Let's collect knowledge, let's take courage, let's keep faith and give love.
Oh,
Nice, Jerry.
Yes.
Yes, and you can only find this on the Big Show TV.
She needs to do our closing more often.
I know.
Well
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jerry.
No worries. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Jerry.
Such a nice camouflage shirt.
Right?
I know, right?
Very cool.
Thank you,
very
thank
cool.
you, thank
What
you.
shirt?
What shirt?
Sorry?
Camouflage.
He's wearing a
What
white
shirt?
He's wearing a white t-shirt, that's all I see. It's okay, when you grow up, I explain to you.
I'm gonna
Okay.
sign off. See you.
All right, Jerry. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jerry.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.